In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find.
Hello, my name is Rodney Kawecki. I'm doing this short video on why we have a future. What is a future? Why, in essence, does our planet Earth, as well as the universe as a whole, retain the ability to grow? What I mean is, when we're born, we have a biological change. We have children. The Bible says we go all the way back to tiny creatures. The animals. He created all those for Earth. But he never said anything about any of the other planets. He only said that he created the heavens and the earth. And he didn't say that he created the universe. So what is the universe? The universe is a organism. It's a biological, temporal organism in which allows us to expand, to accelerate, to grow, in essence, to grow. A lot of physics don't go into the idea about, they go into the theory of universe expansion, but they don't go into the idea of matter expansion. See, matter has two or three different qualities. Matter has zero mass. That's why we call it matter. It has no mass. But when it's connected to an energy, it becomes a mass. So we have matter and we have mass. The characteristics of having a mass conform to a presence of energy is weight. Okay? And you take those three characteristics and you add acceleration. And you have a increase of force. An increase of mass. Subatomic particles, atoms, absorb within themselves energy. Energy changes their composition. They
9:18 p.m.
If they are at rest, and everything is at rest in the universe, even the planets, the stars, the galaxies, even the universe itself, is at rest. But there's another force that's causing it to move. And that's space. And that space we call gravity. And that interaction we call gravity. It causes momentum. On Earth, we have Isaac Newton's theory of matter with zero mass. That means outside the planetary realm, outside its atmosphere, and matter weighs zero because there's no energy. It floats. It's just it has no weight. Now you take that same piece of matter and you put it inside the atmosphere, and it starts absorbing energy. It gets heavier, and each second that goes by, it gets heavier and heavier, and it accelerates its acceleration. It moves faster. But the deal is, it stops at a certain point. It stops at the ground level, the surface of the planet. It doesn't go all the way to the center of the planet. So at that point is what we measure weight as. If that piece of matter was to go further deeper, it would connect to the center mass and become a fused entity with that mass, but it's not. So it's a mobile, it makes matter mobile. It makes acceleration possible by the interaction of energy. Now you might say, well, if it's an interaction of energy, then if you go in space and there's no energy, then there's no velocity. Well, that's where we have propulsion. We have certain mechanics that make the deity, the ship, accelerate. And it accelerates at a faster velocity than it would on Earth because it's in space. Now, besides those two characteristics of matter, which is matter by itself, hollow mass, which means matter without energy, and rest mass are those main characteristics. Now, how's the future fit into all this? Well, it's not Einstein's theory. It's somebody else's. It's Edwin Hubbard's idea. The universe is expanding. The universe is getting bigger. The universe is in a process, a continual process. That's why we call it a continuum. It keeps moving. It keeps accelerating. And it's making all the matter, all the planets, stars, and galaxy, making them move, not by themselves. Space is making them move, They're relatively at rest, but they have an acceleration. Now, are they massless? That's a different characteristic of trying to find out how much a planet weighs. But I would say this, that if you built a ship and you traveled beyond, way out into the middle space, midfield space, let's say between Neptune and Juniper, that your acceleration would be enormous. You know, you would be able to travel at speeds unbelievable. You know, and it all depends on how fast you're able to accelerate. Your ship, your propulsion values allow you to travel. And that's where relativity and the speed of light comes in. If we were able to travel at the speed of light, certain things would happen. Well, with an expanding universe, something that's Einstein believed wasn't happening, that there were certain limits that created all the dimensions and time travel and time dilation and all those things to happen. Now that the universe is shown to be moving on its own, expanding, getting bigger, that the speed of light is no more constant. Now, don't get me wrong, light is constant, and the speed of light is constant. But the speed of light relative to gravity, universal gravity, that's space gravity, don't correspond. They're not the same. How would I say this? The speed of light is slow compared to how fast the universe is traveling. You know, and I deciphered some equations just to show exactly how fast the possibility of traveling is at. You know, and I've written 5 books on faster light speed space travel based on the reality of propulsion, not time travel, not time dilation. I mean, if there's no energy affecting the ship, you know, you take a ship and a submarine and you travel in the ocean and you're traveling against the water, you can only travel at a certain speed because of the water. But now if you go and take a ship like the submarine and put it in space where there's no water, it's a vacuum, there's no air, there's nothing. Your acceleration possibilities are beyond. And I wouldn't say beyond infinity, but very fast, as fast as you could create a propulsion value to travel, you know. As for time travel, there is a speculation I have in the back of my head that I will not reveal it at this time. It has nothing to do with Albert Einstein's theory, it has nothing to do with other theories, but it's the only possibility that I can think that time travel may exist, and it's something that probably, we're talking about 1,000 years in the future, you know, before we have the technology to do such a thing, you know. Maybe I'll bring it out in one of my next books, you know, the possibility of time travel. But as for it is, there's no real time travel. I mean, how can you believe that time travel is based on in a single second? You know, the speed of light in a single second. I mean, you know, a single second, dude. I mean, I could move faster than a single second. You know? So how could that actually be a foundation for traveling faster than the speed of light? A second compared to another second. Second, time is relative, yeah. Has to do with everything else. If a second passes here on Earth, same second is passing there on Neptune. The only thing, Neptune is so big that there's more seconds compared to the Earth, where it's smaller and it's less seconds. So the rotation and the length of that rotation is basically measured the same, but one is different than the other. One is bigger than the other. Einstein went into some stuff he believed at the time would be relevant. He took some things that say, well, space, gravity, space and gravity, space is gravity, and gravity is time. And today, if you could believe that, what do they call that? I hold my hat open to you, you know. Someone said that to me, you know. I'm getting old, you know, but my ideas from a kid was to challenge Einstein's theory of relativity, and that's what I've been doing. You know, I didn't do it for years, but that seems to be my inner ideas of what I could do, because I never believed that traveling in space, I mean, a vacuum is a vacuum, you know. Now, we could think of a reverse vacuum that we're traveling against the vacuum, which may create a force, a push force. So that could be true, but that doesn't mean that we are still being pushed with the vacuum. We're not being sucked up by it. And evidently, if we're being sucked up by it, we're getting sucked up by it the same way that we're being pushed, you know. So what is a push and what is a shove, you know, compared to how big this universe is. So the future is not predetermined, as Einstein said. The universe is expanding, allowing us as human beings to grow. You know, if ever that time that the universe stops and something happens, I don't know. There's different ideas about the possibility of that, how space curls up on itself. But if space curls up on itself, then it's doing it in a totality, which means it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, the other thing is that the space, there's matter, there's space, and there's more space. There's a space that's not affected by the Big Bang, which changes the composition of the space that exists that we in. That's why in Hubble's theory, he calls it a bubble, or some people call it a balloon or a bubble. You know, in essence, the space is different than the original space, and because of that indifference, it's expanding. For some reason, it's expanding. And it's not like a balloon expanding from some end, getting blown up. Expanding from the center. It's expanding due to the compositions of its chemistry. Whatever it is creating a difference in the quality of space, changing its composition, and making everything grow and get bigger. And how is this possible is in my next book. At least a theory that shows the probability of why it's happening. My books are a lot different than any other books. You read about Einstein. Einstein seems to be the logo of time travel and space travel, etc. You know, the other theories have to do with atoms, subatomic atoms. The difference is exploration, which is space travel, and that's my interest. That's what I'm talking about when I'm writing a book. And to get to point A to point B, you have to have all the information. And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking all the information that's available, especially by internet, and regenerating it into my own little theory, the quantum physics theory. I hope you become interested. Read my book. It's basically about space travel and the possibilities, the technology behind it. And it has nothing to do with aliens and stuff like that, talking bears and stuff, aliens and stuff, But we gotta understand, we live in a special world. We do have life. There is life here. And the probability of other life otherwhere is the probability. And I keep thinking of that probability is life is the way we see life now, like we are, is the same life, especially if there's time travel. Because if there's time travel and somehow we are in the past trying to discover time travel, then a time traveler would be somebody, one of us, in the future who have created it and traveled past to visit us. And that would be a point of travel. But of course, I don't think that the possibilities that to happen are probable. But if it did, that's the way I was thinking. It's the same as us. We're the same, and everything. Them tricks about different types of shades. If you know Hollywood and making shades and all that stuff, then you know what the fantasy of time travel is. I'm gonna wear these, even though they don't want me to. I'm gonna wear these, and boy, now it's gonna be time travel. But time travel and all that stuff is basically, we're talking about traveling in space, like traveling through Earth, up and over and around mountains, above the mountains, above the clouds, and into space, and preferably at great speeds, curving around planets. Think about it. My name is Rodney Kawecki. I hope you like my video. It's 22.25 seconds. And I hope you find interest in my videos. We're talking about reality. We're not talking about an invisible ship of light. I'm sorry, but reality is reality. Thank you, and have a good night.